The best way you can get value from a poker coach is to be a great student. And in my experience, there are 5 types of students that I have worked with that I'm going to tell you all about in today's video. But I want to start with a beautiful metaphor that I heard from Patrick Howard that I think encapsulates the poker journey in just a really great way. Think of your poker experience as if you're in an ocean rowboat, right? So you're trying to get from one island to another island. That is the journey. Now, sometimes when you get in your boat and you travel from one island to another, you won't face any adversity at all, right? You'll just zoom right through. The weather will be for you. Everything works in your favor. Things are good. Other times, though, there's going to be a storm. The weather is going to be against you. You have to fight tooth and nail to make it to your destination. You got to do whatever it takes. You're going to be scared. You're going to suffer. There's going to be potential for catastrophic injury. It's bad times, but you have to keep the faith, right? You have to keep the faith, keep doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, because that's how you ultimately survive. And if you do, then you'll eventually get to your destination, right? But if you just turn and you're supposed to go north and you just start going west, you never make it to your destination, right? You're just being blown, wherever the wind takes you. And that's not what you want to do in your poker journey. You want to be consistent. You want to stick to the plan so that you can eventually make it to your destination. So now, to build off of that metaphor, your poker coach is getting in that rowboat with you, right? They're on your team. They're there to make sure that you make it to where you need to be. And in my experience, I get in rowboats with 5 different kinds of students. The first type of student is the child. This is the poker player that lacks fundamentals, that's enthusiastic about the game, probably relatively new to the game, but unfamiliar with a lot of the core strategies, the way the game works. And so the progress when I'm in a rowboat with a child tends to be, fairly slow. A lot of teaching, showing the mechanics of how different things work, showing, what you need to do in order to eventually be fast and make it to your destination. But the progress is generally slow. The experience, can be a bit repetitive. It can be a bit, from my side, a bit boring, teaching the same lessons again and again and again and again. I guess this is why, I am not an elementary school teacher. I think that progress always appeals to me, personal progress. So for the coach, not a ton of personal progress, just working on fundamentals, just making sure that this child archetype is prepared for the journey that they're about to go on. They're going to be safe. And they'll at least figure out how to get the boat moving in the right direction, right? Maybe they will make it and it's going to take time, but it is what it is. The second type of student is going to be what I call the dead weight, right? It's going to be a student that is excited about the prospect of being a strong poker player, but unwilling to put in the effort and energy required to do what it takes, to make it to the other island, right? They essentially want a taxi. They want me to get in the boat with them and then just row them to the island so that they can get out and they're like, haha, we're here, right? Progress for this type of player tends to be non-existent, right? Because I drop them off at their island, I go on my merry way, and guess what? Now they can't get in a boat. They don't know what to do. They can't, make the next journey because they don't have the skills and they haven't invested the energy and the time into getting better. The experience for coaching the dead weight is pretty miserable for a coach. It's repetitive. Tend to say the same things again and again and again and again. They don't make much of an impact. So, you don't want to be a deadweight student who's unwilling to put in the work so that you can eventually make progress. My third type of student is my least favorite type of student, and that is the Nemesis. The Nemesis needs convincing at every single step of the way that you're guiding them in the right direction, right? Every discussion ends up being an argument. Progress is not only non-existent, oftentimes it's negative. So I get in the boat with my Nemesis. We're going on our journey to the island, and it tells me that no, the island is not actually north, it's east, and then starts rowing east. And I'm trying to pull us north. They're trying to go east, and you can clearly see that progress is not made. you end up lost. It's a lot of energy, a lot of time investment, no tangible gain for either the coach or the student. You definitely do not want to be a Nemesis student. And if you hire a coach and you realize that you guys are Nemesis, right? You think about poker differently and you want to go your own way, then you just have to break contact. You have to cut ties, because in my experience, it has never worked out. It has never been a pleasurable experience for anybody. It's never been enjoyable. You just end up marooned in the middle of the ocean and nobody's happy at the end of the day. So you definitely do not want to be the type of student that's a nemesis to their coach, that is just rowing in a different direction. That's not great. The fourth type of student is one of my favorite types, probably tied for my favorite type of student, and that's the worker, right? They lack natural talent, but they're willing to do whatever it is they need to do in order to get better. The worker will listen, they'll do their homework. When you get in a boat with a worker, maybe their fundamentals are not perfect, right? Maybe they're gonna waste some energy out of lack of knowledge, but they're going to keep rowing. They're gonna go the right direction that the coach points them in, and you will make it to the island much faster, than if you were on your own. And that's really the beauty of the worker, is that, they listen, they're coachable. This sort of student-coach relationship tends to be quite beneficial for both the student and the coach, right? I think in my opinion, as a coach, there's nothing more gratifying than helping somebody that maybe lacks the natural ability. They weren't born with the knack, the intensely strong intuition of just the natural poker player, but they still make it to their destination eventually anyway. Like, that feeling as a coach, not a better one exists, because the naturals, the folks that they get in their rowboat and they just they're just off to the races. They're expected to make it, right? The worker's not expected to make it. And so when they do, and when they keep nailing journey after journey after journey, it's great sense of pride in the coach that the harmony of your relationship with the worker is bearing fruit, progress is being made, all is good. And the fifth type of student is the most rare, and that is the soulmate. This is whenever I coach a student who thinks like me, who learns like me, who uses self-talk in the same way that I do, who has the same values. It's just a match made in heaven where, it's rocket fuel for the student and the coach, right? Because the coach is going to make progress as well as the student. And so when you get in the boat together, you're just rowing, you're in sync, you're moving towards your destination at speeds in which neither of you thought were ever going to be possible. The progress that you make is transcendent when you're a soulmate with your coach. And the progress for the coach is also incredibly immense, because there's nothing that propels a coach, makes you want to work harder for your students, than when somebody is doing things that are essentially the coach's dream, right? Every coach wants to find world-class students. Every coach wants to find, the next crusher, facilitate somebody's poker dreams to come true in a really big way. And whenever a coach finds a soulmate, that's what can happen. That's the upside. So the upside is just incredible. Fireworks go off, great things happen. That's the student that is the most valuable student to a coach, right? The worker and the soulmate. The worker makes it to levels they never thought that the worker never thought was possible. The soulmate makes it to levels where the coach never even knew if it was possible, right? And there's a real beauty in that. But that sort of coaching student relationship is quite rare, and it's only happened to me, a few times in my career after coaching hundreds and hundreds of people. Generally, the most common, unfortunately, types of students are going to be the first three, the child, the deadweight, and the nemesis. These profiles just, it kind of is what it is. It's a numbers game. The constitution needed to be the worker is not easy. You need a growth mindset. You can't feel static. You have to believe that with hard work, you can rewire your brain. You can get better at this thing. The skill level that you're currently at is not static. You can move forward tangibly. I think that mindset is really what separates the worker, from the child, the deadweight, and the nemesis. And, for the first three, it's not as if that profile is or that label is stuck with you forever, right? You can transcend, right? Like, somebody that's a child that's brand new to poker, we were all children when we first started playing poker, right? We all got in our ocean rowboat and didn't know how to move the oars, didn't know what was going on, felt lost and confused. And, through hard work, we figured it out, right? So we all start as the child. I think that human nature is to tend to be inactive. And so there is this tendency to be a dead weight. I think that, in other areas of my life outside of poker, I've probably been a dead weight, right? Where I just couldn't summon the necessary energy or the motivation to excel at one endeavor or another. And then the Nemesis, the Nemesis is the more difficult profile to overcome. And I think that if, you find that you're a student and you're a Nemesis with your coach, that you need to find a new coach. And if you're a coach and a student is your Nemesis, you need to find a new student, right? You got to cut that relationship, let it go. Even if the player's talented, even if, you see that they have great potential, you just can't overcome the negativity that is sure to come about whenever you're engaging and doing your sessions with a Nemesis. And maybe, if you're a Nemesis with your current coach, maybe you can find a new coach, right? And maybe you'll be a soulmate, right? Maybe it's just not a match. In poker, there's a bunch of ways to win. There's, a bunch of ways to skin a cat, as they say. So maybe it's just not a good fit, and maybe you're a soulmate with another coach, and you should seek them out, right? I think that's good for both the coach and the student. And so that is it for the breakdown of the 5 types of poker students that I've encountered as a coach. Thank you once again to Patrick Howard for that beautiful metaphor. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ask me any questions down below if you are considering, getting a poker coach as a student, or you're a poker coach who's, trying to find the right fits as students, right? I think both of those are quite important. Both of those are problems and challenges. So let me know in the comments below. I'll see you next time.
This is Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson. Coach Brad approved. Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.